with news on Night of Champions and more. This is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Providing an update on a recovery after being injured on the May 19th edition of Raw, ZOEY Stark said this in a video on social media. What's up, Stark Marks? Welcome to another week of Road to Recovery. This week was a lot of fun. We did a road trip to Salt Lake City, got to see the family, had an amazing time, worked on my physical therapy. My goal for this week, and it had to happen this week for me more than anything else, was to hit 90 degrees. Now, if you don't know, if you don't hit 90 degrees after you tear your ACL, MCL, and meniscus like I did, you can't even think about walking. Until Wednesday, I go into PT, I'm at home, I'm relaxed. I had my physical therapy work on me a bit, and there you go, hit the 91, which I'm stoked about. Now we continue on to the next hurdle. When it comes to the latest on the sex trafficking lawsuit against WWE and Vince McMahon, Ringside News wrote that JANEL Grant isn't backing down in her sex trafficking lawsuit against WWE and Vince McMahon. Now, she's asking the court to force WWE and McMahon to hand over internal documents as the legal battle heats up. On Monday, Grant's legal team filed a motion seeking evidence tied to whether the case will be heard in public court or pushed into private arbitration, a move McMahon and WWE have been fighting for. In her lawsuit, Grant accused McMahon of sexually abusing and trafficking her while she worked for WWE and claimed the company enabled and covered up his misconduct. WWE and McMahon are trying to move the case behind closed doors, citing an arbitration clause in the $3 million non-disclosure agreement Grant signed in 2022. But Grant's team says that NDA is invalid, arguing it was signed in an extreme state of duress and coercion at the hands of Vince McMahon. Her attorneys also allege that the NDA was part of the furtherance of crimes, including several violations of federal securities laws by defendant McMahon. They pointed to a recent SEC order forcing McMahon to repay WWE $1.3 million and hit him with a $400,000 fine. Grant's legal team is demanding WWE and McMahon hand over a wide range of communications and documents, including board materials, NDA drafts, and files already reviewed by federal investigators. Among the 20 categories of documents and communications she is requesting are documents showing who participated in drafting or reviewing the NDA, all communications concerning the termination of Grant's employment and or the NDA, all drafts of the NDA, communications between McMahon and Linda McMahon concerning Grant and or the NDA, communications between McMahon and Dr. Carlin Kolker concerning Grant and or the NDA, Grant's complete employment file, all WWE HR documents and communications concerning Grant's employment and separation, communications between McMahon's legal team and Jonathan Shapiro concerning the NDA, all WWE board materials from January 1st, 2019 to January 30th, 2025, all minutes from the board's audit committee from the same period, communications with Endeavor about WWE's litigation liabilities between 2019 and 2023, all documents produced to government investigators regarding Grant and or the NDA, records of subpoenas or voluntary requests from the SEC and responses, all documents regarding WWE's claim that McMahon failed to disclose settlement agreements, materials deemed discoverable under the crime fraud exception by federal courts, documents showing the scope and methodology of WWE's internal investigation, identification of everyone interviewed during WWE's internal investigation, and documents and communications concerning the findings and recommendations of WWE's internal investigation. The motion also brought to light a February court ruling that pierced attorney-client privilege under the crime fraud exception. That ruling found probable cause that McMahon used legal counsel to help cover up misconduct involving NDAs, including Grant. evidence. Despite a meeting held last Friday, Grant's attorneys say WWE and McMahon declined to offer any documents to support their push for arbitration. A spokesperson for Grant told Post Wrestling they claim the NDA and its arbitration clause are enforceable, but resist any attempts to investigate whether Ms. Grant was coerced into signing it, facts that go to the heart of its enforceability. They can't have it both ways. Grant is asking the court to delay the next round of legal filings until WWE and McMahon provide the requested evidence. WWE and McMahon submitted their latest arguments to move the case to arbitration on June 16th. Grant's response is due July 11th, with the defendants allowed to reply by August 1st. Grant's lawsuit also describes how McMahon applied pressure during the NDA negotiations, warning that refusal would jeopardize McMahon, his family, and the company, while threatening that she would become a public headline, suffer reputational ruin, including from pornographic content McMahon had captured, and face legal consequences from McMahon's and WWE's near limitless resources. This situation with JANEL, Grant, WWE, and Vince McMahon keeps getting uglier, and it's clear the legal drama is far from over. With accusations of coercion, shady NDAs, and federal investigations in the mix, it's hard to imagine this quietly disappearing into arbitration. On X, users pointed out that taking pictures at Monday Night Raw was not allowed, with a user going by Marissa writing, WWE apparently has a policy, I don't know if it's new, but I've never heard of it before, where you are not allowed to take pictures and videos during the show, and our security people are hardo about it. I'll be at AEW shows moving forward. LMAO. Exhausting. Yeah, the security guards are dead ass putting flashlights on people, threatening to confiscate phones or kick them out. LMAO. My seats are probably $350 combined. Goodbye. This arena just be more hardo about it, but apparently it's a thing now. Another user, Deporticus, said, it's always been a policy since we've been going, but it's always been super hit or miss on whether security says anything about it. Marissa replied, it's insane that I've literally never heard of it. We are sitting in a hardo section, I guess. Deporticus responded, like SmackDown last week was no issue, but we had trouble at the same arena last year at a Raw in a higher up section. Very inconsistent. Other users chimed in, saying, it has to be the arena, because here in Miami, I went to Kaseya and they were like that and even took out my sign. But I went to another arena here in Miami and I filmed and brought all my signs and I had no issues even in Tampa, no issues at all. I think it depends on the arena or center. That is insane. When I went to SmackDown, I've seen signs at arenas that said no filming or taking pictures, but I still see people doing it anyway. As someone that has been going to WWE shows since January 2013, I'm pretty sure this has always been a rule. It's just that it's hard to enforce it nowadays where everyone has a phone to record and take pics and it's been normalized. But even now, before the show starts, they still warn the crowd that picture and videos are prohibited. My arena in my hometown almost kicked me out for recording videos as well, but everyone next time was doing it and they didn't say anything. Speaking of things allegedly not allowed on Raw this week, those in WWE were seemingly instructed not to mention the current conflict in the Middle East ahead of Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. As Brian Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, we got to talk about this Raw show. This was the Raw go-home for Night of Champions, and they didn't mention anything about, Dave Meltzer added, no, they weren't allowed. They weren't allowed to. They just were not allowed to mention anything on that. That's probably one of the reasons why they weren't allowed to address it, was because I don't think they wanted those questions being asked. As far as everything, it's potentially dangerous. In a now deleted post on the Tampa subreddit, Ric Flair was accused of soiling himself in bars. As it reads, does Ric Flair keep coming to your restaurant and himself? Man has himself like 6 times this year, drunk at bars and other restaurants. He gets thrown out of Water Street places all the time. Anybody in the service industry having to deal with this too? As Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia is coming up, the conflict in the Middle East has raised concerns about the event taking place. Civilian air travel was restricted in Saudi, but crew members from WWE have been in the country preparing for the event. 5 production staff members were reportedly stuck in Qatar due to airspace closures. US President Trump made an announcement yesterday that provides hope for those in WWE in regards to the Night of Champions event. It reads, "Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end of the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful. On the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel. God bless Iran. God bless the Middle East. God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.